sharing a platform with Steve North. But it's a shame that we're having to be here today to discuss the vital public services like these 5 outstanding nurseries that we have here in Salford. And it's not just a shame, it's an absolute disgrace that this government is cutting the funding to our vital services. When Theresa May stood on the steps of Downing Street and said she was there to make sure that those working class people, those hard working people across Britain that needed support, she was going to be there for you. And then her first act of vandalism is cutting the funding to our education and our early years structures that make sure that every child gets a decent opportunity in life. That's absolutely disgraceful. It will be you that wins this campaign and keeps those 5 nurseries open. Speak on behalf of the Shadow Cabinet here today. I speak on behalf of the leader of the Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, who has also pledged his support to you and those vital services. One of the things that we did at the last general election, and I got a lot of grief for it, is we said that we'd invest in Britain and we'd invest in our young people because they deserve that investment by making sure that our schools, our nurseries and our early years sectors have the support and the funding that they deserve and need. The last Labour government, one of the true best things it did was introduce Sure Start centres and open nurseries. Absolutely amazing. For kids like me, who never had opportunities to read a book because my mum couldn't read all right, who went to school not school ready, who when I became a mum at 16, that Sure Start Centre helped me be a better mum to my child. We deserve that right. So please continue your campaign. It's not over yet. The consultation continues, and we want to make sure that in the meantime, while Theresa May's on notice,
the nurseries are outstanding 5 times over, and we wouldn't want to change that in any way. Alison would like to say a few words from the children that have attended the nurseries in the past.
I've worked in Salford a long time, but this sums it up for me. Dear Mayor, my name is Julia and I'm 6 years old. Please do not shut my little brother's nursery down. It started only a few days ago. This is my nursery and I was in the nursery when I was little. I was crying for a few days because my mum was leaving me and I was missing her and my grandma. My teacher learned how to say a few words in Polish because I didn't understand English in the beginning. But then I made a friendship with Alison, my first teacher, and then I was coming to the nursery with a big smile on my face and I was happy there learning and playing with other children. My mum says that I was very fussy with eating, but my teachers in nursery were always a little diary made by them. I was collecting stickers every day for the things I did and trying new food. I made my very best friend there, and you know, she goes to my nursery, she goes to my school, her name is Isabel, and we met there when we were 3 years old and we'll be friends forever. I'm happy that my little brother goes there as well, because he will find his very best friend as well. And I'm sure it was a nice time there playing with children and learning letters and songs and lots of new things. My mum told me that the mayor will close the nursery after the summer holidays because they don't have the money. If you promise to give me the money back, I could lend you some as I've got lots of money in my piggy bank from my grandma and the tooth fairy. My mum is really upset because she knows that this nursery is the best and she doesn't want to send my little brother anywhere else. She will always need to drive too far to pick me up after school, and I don't want to be the last one there. Please keep my brother's nursery open. Do you know that my cousin Hannah goes there as well, and all my friends and all my siblings' friends, Isabel's brother Alex, Max's brother Benjamin and Franny. When I was little,
I've been to Salford and Eccles, and I'm just so heartwarmed by how many people we've got here today. It shows how strong our community is, and my mum's got a saying, if you push us into a corner, you do it at your peril, because we always come out fighting. And that's what you've done in this campaign. You're not being pushed into a corner, and I know you're going to fight to save these 5 nurseries. And you've got mine and Barbara and Graham Stringers 101% support for that. And Angela Rayner, who's here today, and Jeremy Corbyn, the leader of the Labour Party, and he's asked me to read out a statement today. He said he's sorry he can't come today. He'd definitely have been here if he could because he absolutely loves Salford. But he backs you 101% and he wanted me to read this out. And I forgot my glasses, so you'll have to bear with me because I'm doing it on my phone. So, he said, Tory cuts have failed local councils and failed young children and their families. And the changes to the early years funding formula continues to fail them. Childhood sets the course of achievement for the whole of a lifetime, not to mention the ability of parents to work themselves. But this government's disregard to the funding of our key local services, the funding that our key local services desperately need, not only threatens the families and dedicated staff within 5 outstanding nurseries in Salford, but it also undermines the government's claim that they are building solid economic foundations for the future. The leader of Surrey County Council, a Conservative, speaking of cuts to local councils, has said, we are facing the most difficult financial crisis in our history. The government cannot stand idly by while Rome burns, yet the government still do nothing. Since 2010, council funding has been cut by half, and Salford Council is one of the hardest hit local authorities. At the same time, households in England now face council tax rises of £1 billion. While the Tories watch on, hundreds of Sure Start centres across the country have closed. Nurseries like those here in Salford and elsewhere are faced with closure, and the Tories' refusal to properly fund their own childcare policies means more children and more families are not getting the financial support they need and deserve. Childcare and early years providers must now receive the funding it needs to properly deliver 30 hours of free childcare to 3 and 4-year-olds, and the government ministers must now listen and act and listen to Salford. So that was a message from Jeremy. And I don't want to take up too
many thanks, but I just want to thank you all again for being here today. It's just amazing, and I'm just so proud to be from Salford. Being at the start of this campaign, it's amazing how many staff, parents, children, small businesses, media representatives, council representatives have all got on board and supported us, so thank you. I'll now share a testimony written by a parent from Winton Nursery. Sarah is with us here today, and she might join us at some point with her son. You understand? Or, yeah, she's all right. Okay. So this is Sarah's story. I want to share with you my story as a parent. Our son attends Winton Nursery. He has a rare genetic syndrome called Kabuki syndrome. He suffers with developmental delay, low tone, cleft palate, hypermobile joints. He has numerous sensory issues along with autistic traits and hearing loss. He doesn't communicate as a normal 2.5-year-old would. He is unable to speak. He does not say a word. He does not eat it orally. He is peg-fed via his tummy. My son has just recently started to walk, which I am immensely proud of. It was a really hard decision for us to send him to nursery, and it was tempting to wrap him up in cotton wool. He doesn't need intense care, but he requires an intervention that is not typical of a 2-year-old. He's an in-betweener, so to speak. Our 5 nurseries, with their quality training and their support network, give children like my son a chance to flourish and succeed. These nurseries are like a life ring to our child. Our little boy is not a one-size-fits-all child. He has medical with educational support needs. That said, he's proving that the support...
When I was first-time mum 7 years ago, going back to work, it was a big deal not for me to leave my child, not just with anyone. I looked at various nurseries before. I finished viewing them all. I had my heart set on High Broughton. It was in the process of a new build and moving from a nursery into the hub. When I was at the hub, I found staff very supportive. I was nervous leaving my child as someone I had only ever dreamed of, as I had a disability called achondroplasia, which is a type of dwarfism. This has given me a very clear view on how wrong and cruel the world and people can be.
so I was very unsure what to do for the best of my daughter. I had to go back to work, only the only support I had was my mum, but I don't want to rely on her too much. We did a gradual induction. I didn't have to start the nursery place until I was ready and they was ready. But I could start the nursery anytime. Sorry. I used to ask them simple questions experienced staff members would know. I only felt reassured by a member of staff that the answers they had given was a straight answer. The staff at the hub were so dedicated with their job of caring for my child. Staff were so established in their role, my trust in the staff at the hub that was looking after my child they supported me and helped me arrange visits with other professionals such as health visitors. This was very different to what I saw when I looked at other divisions. The staff turnover has been too high, a lot younger, less experienced staff were employed at other nurseries. For some people, choosing a nursery was about the cost. For me, it was about the first and best class care you could offer a child. We live in such a cruel world these days. They blame it on the poor and sad deprived upbringing some people have had in their childhood. Well, it's the government. You have the power to give these children a chance by saving these nurseries. The staff at the nurseries are well experienced, professional and caring to the core. They appreciate who they work for. It may be Salford Council, but the passion is working for the children. I have 2 children and without a second thought put my second child's name down at the hub, and I would advise anyone else to do without any doubt. We have to keep these nurseries open.
And as a new mum away from my extended family, I discovered the Children's Centre in Winton, and there I met other mums. I learned so much about weaning, breastfeeding, everything. I also ate a lot of crumpets, and it was just such a valuable support to me at that time. And then as Clara got bigger and I was getting ready to go back to work, they told me about the new baby room in Barton Moss, and it was just up the road from my house, and I thought, oh, that's fantastic. When I met the lovely staff there, and she settled in so
campaign they've launched, and obviously the event today. As many of you will know, it's been my grim duty this year to present the City Council with a further £11.2 million worth of cuts. This year's cuts takes the City Council's collective loss of funding to £198 million since 2010. Over 50% of the budget has been taken away from us by this Tory government and the Lib Dem Tory coalition before them. The reduction in available spending has been absolutely enormous. But even in the face of these tremendous pressures, it is the dedicated and passionate staff in local government who continue to deliver outstanding services to the residents and families across the city of Salford, day in, day out. And I'd like to thank each and every one of them for everything they do in our city. Public sector workers throughout local government, our NHS and beyond are the lifeblood of our communities and our city. But what's happening in Salford is also happening across England, with councils expecting to face a funding gap of £5 billion by 2020, whilst at the same time homelessness has more than doubled under the Conservatives, with 120,000 children now living in temporary accommodation without a home to call their own. 75% of councils nationally are reporting a crisis in children's services, with children's services departments under huge strain because of rising poverty, the impacts of welfare changes, stagnating wages, insecure employment and unaffordable housing. And 1 in 4 children in the UK today face poverty, with 4.1 million children living in relative poverty and children missing out on the things most children take for granted, like warm clothes, school trips and having friends over for tea. This is an absolute disgrace in 21st century Britain, one of the most wealthiest economies in the developed world. But despite the Tory government knowing this, in Salford, where we are the 22nd most deprived local authority in the country, with 26% of our children living in poverty, they still insist on reducing our budget by over 50% since 2010. While central government expenditure continues to rise, tax breaks are found for the big businesses and the wealthiest in society. Austerity is a political choice, and today we want to send a loud and clear message to the government that enough really is enough. Our 5 local authority nurseries, as we've heard, are rated as outstanding by Ofsted. Schools and parents tell us these services within the nurseries provided are excellent and provide high standards of care, significantly contributing to school readiness within our city, and often providing much needed support for children with special educational needs and disabilities. It is for many of these reasons why the Labour Council here in Salford has held on to these 5 outstanding local authority nurseries, when many councils, as we've already heard, up and down the country have already ceased direct provision. Tory government changes to the early years funding formula nationally should not put in jeopardy such outstanding services within our city. And it's for all these reasons that I've decided to pause the consultation for a month. I've also removed closure from the consultation and have guaranteed funding to keep these local authority nurseries open for the next academic year. As we continue to fight for the 5, lobby the government, work with parents, staff, trade unions, councillors, our 3 MPs and the Mayor of Greater Manchester. Austerity is a political choice, and local government should not bear the brunt of government austerity. And today we stand together and say enough of the cuts to vital services that hurt our local communities. Enough of the cuts to schools, hospitals and local policing. Enough of the cuts to the libraries and our youth centres within the city. And enough of leaving elderly and disabled people without essential care. Enough of failed privatisation that sucks funds out of local services so few can profit within society. And enough of placing Salford's 5 outstanding nurseries in jeopardy. And I stand shoulder to shoulder with everyone here today to fight for these 5 local authority nurseries and to keep them open. Thank you very much.